Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Today is the first episode of my map guide series where we're going to be looking at, as you can probably guess, Terminal. We're going to be covering really nice line of sights as well as some insane jump spots in this video. But before we get into that, we're going to be looking at callouts. The aim of this video is to hopefully give you guys the edge when you load in against competitors on MW3 rank play on the 17th of January. So make sure you guys pay attention to every single line of sight out here because there's probably some you haven't seen. If you want to skip ahead to certain areas of the map, there will be a timeline down below at the bottom of the video where you can skip ahead to where you want to see. So for example, if you wanted to see area of this map where you can see nice line of sight of P2, look a little bit down towards the video and you will see a spot labeled P2, so you can skip directly ahead to that. Before we get into that, we're going to be looking at the callouts just so you guys know exactly where I'm talking about and so that you can hopefully relay this to your team. So when you end up loading into MW3 rank play, you're well informed and you will know what you're talking about. So starting things off here, this is security. This whole back bit is security here for real good reasons, because obviously it's the security. We then have tree, which is this place. Back here, this little room here is server. This desk is check-in. You then have P2, which is in here. Some people call this jewels, but I call it P2 just because it's easily to know. You then have P2 luggage, which is this heady here. You then have info, which is, I know this is check-in as well, but this is info desk or L, depending on what you want to call it. You then have P2 windows, which is these windows here. You then have terminal or connector, depending on what you guys want to call it. It's literally up to you, but I'm giving you some ideas, which is this little area here. You then have connector or terminal stairs. You then have plane, cockpit, front plane, back plane, in the tail. This is the tail section here, or top ladder. Going back here, you then have back oil, which is this little box here. Then you have black boxes, which are these guys here, if some people laid on top of these. That little slide is called exactly that, slide. Moving up to here, you have red, which is what people call this one, but you can call it any color you want. White or blue works because realistically it's called red in the old COD because this line was red instead of blue. So you call it whatever you guys want, but blue or red is what I tend to go with. You then have top third, which is up here. This is this area. You then move into lounge, which is down here. Some people call it bottom Eskys, but me and my team call it lounge because it's one syllable and it makes it easier for everyone guys to know what you want about. Cafe is behind here, if someone's on this heady. And then we move around to Eskys, which are obviously here. Top Eskys, which is this general vicinity. You then have hall, which is here. Now, if they're this side of the hall, I like to call out toilets because, as you can see, there are toilets. Or bathroom or lavatory, whatever you guys want to call it. This side of P2, this side of hall I call P2 hall. So this general area here is P2 hall. We then have book. Again, some people call this library, but I call it book because it's one syllable, which is a little bit more efficient. And then moving on to this area, you have dining for obvious reasons. There's dining tables and chairs everywhere. And then we move into the final call out, well, the nearly final call out, which is a burger. And for obvious reasons, that is called a burger. And then finally, we have P1 here. And if you want specifics, this golf cart is literally called golf. If someone's holding this heady, you can call it golf heady. And that should be that. So that's it with the callouts. This is now the line of sight and jump spots. We'll start up here and then we'll work our way around the map. So for top Eskys, there's a way in which, this is my favourite spot, you can actually get onto this. And it's a really nice line of sight. So you have to do a little bit of a strafe from that ledge. Unfortunately, you can't get onto that ledge anymore, but a strafe from this ledge to here, just like I did. Feel free to play at the back, slow it down. But from here, you've got a nice spot onto the A-bomb site, and you can actually jump onto this edge here just by jumping. And you can see over towards there, and you can even peek over towards P1 like so, and have a disgusting heady. You used to be able to jump onto this little plant pot here with the flowers in, but they've stopped that. So yeah, this is a nice little compromise. They might patch it soon, but we'll keep it hush-hush for now, guys. Hey. Whilst we are in this general area, there's a couple of other spots. So I see a lot of people watching Hall just like this, being really out in the open, and sort of using this vending machine as a heady. But if you lay down here and you wanted to watch the cross, or you want to take people a little bit off guard, you can pretty much see them if they cross over through P2 just by laying down here. They're not going to expect this, and it's a nice filthy line of sight. Moving on to the lounge, there's a nice little cross spot here. Now, you might be thinking, yeah, you're just laying down in a corner. What does this provide for you? But it's very situational. Let's say it's let's say bombs down. You're on defense and bombs down back plane or something like that. And the last player alive is somewhere at the back of the map. This covers the entire map. So even if you say you're trying to watch the pinch for your teammate, say there's the hard point that's currently active in plane and you're trying to watch the whole cross of the map, from here you can see if anyone's trying to flank through bottom Eskys round to the back of there. You can see if anyone crosses under the plane. You can see if anyone crosses over the, tries to go up the ramp. And you can see anyone in plane itself. So this is a nice little line of sight to make sure that you've got the whole map cut off. And if you've got good beams, you should be able to kill anyone in this area. We then move on to the runway. Well, I'm going to be smashing that open. All the way back here, if you jump onto these wooden areas and onto this orange, you've got a nice little heady towards top third, as well as anyone in plane. So if you're playing S&D and you're trying to be a little bit creddy, again, you're trying to watch the flank, or you're trying to watch any sort of info for plane, you can sit back here on this nice little heady. You can even lay down if you want and watch the cross under plane. And from here, you've got a nice little POV and a disgusting god heady, if I'm honest. You can also get on top of here. So this is, I don't know really what the comments for this is. A little bit schneid. But from here, you can lay down and you've got a nice little heady onto the plane, as well as into red and maybe the P2 cross. But from here, you can actually jump up here and jump again, and you've got a nice POV towards top Eskys, maybe catch a couple people unawares at P1. And then also from here, you smash the window open, you can see into red, and you can really, you get a decent line of sight from there. From here, you can also see if anyone crosses into P2. Maybe from here, actually, you can see if anyone crosses through P2. So let's say the round's just started on S&D and you're trying to watch the crossover towards the plane. You can sit here or lay down here and you can see if anyone crosses, like so. You then have the black box here. So let's say the hardpoint active currently is the one in book. It's P5. This is a nice little angle. Let's say you spawn all the way back here. Instead of running up the steps towards red, you can be in here and then you can sort of stand on the corner and then, beam people from range. They will be on a heady, and you will be in a position in which they don't expect you to be there. Now, the next place you can have, obviously then you can crawl across the plane, but you're pretty open there. Similarly, if you're trying to cover, let's say this hard point's up in the plane and you're trying to cover the flank, or you're just trying to, deter the enemy team or anchor spawns, this is a nice area to do so. You can lay down up here. If you try and align yourself behind this little top bit here, you end up with a nice little bit of cover that you can shoot next to. Unfortunately, you can't shoot over it. Your bullets do hit this. I mean, you could crouch, but then you're really open. So I like to lay down and use it as a cover like you would a wall, and then just beam through, like so. We then have a heady at the bottom of red here. Again, if you're trying to watch the cross under the plane or into plane, you can lay down here and you've got a really nice head glitch here. It's not quite stair glitching. I mean, you could argue it is, but you can see anyone crossing into plane. And if you move even really closer, you can beam anyone challenged from the top of the slope, just like so. Moving back under the plane, let's say you're trying to watch the burst out of the side windows here. If you get on these boxes and crouch, and move forward so you're not shot from anyone pushing out bottom Eskys or lounge, you can crouch here and you've got a nice little heady into anyone trying to push that double window. And you can also see if anyone crosses into the plane from the connector through this little slot here. So this is a nice little angle to hold if you're trying to get info for this bomb site in the plane. Moving on and upwards towards the connector, you guys have probably seen this a bunch of times, but you can actually make a jump from here to here, and then that gets you through to the window. You just got to do a little bit of a strafe jump onto this ledge, come all the way around. This is a nice little creddy spot in itself, but then you can either lay down and peek this just to kill anyone on info, or you can crouch, use this little sign here, this perfume sign as a heady, to be anyone back check-in, and then even if let's say you've got P2 up and you're trying to stop anyone coming through from Hall, this is a nice little spot to kill anyone from Hall. It's a nice little rush route as well, if you're trying to catch people unawares. And, not a lot of people might know that. Some people should really know that, but that's a nice little angle to have to catch people off guard. Moving on to the back of the plane. I skipped a little bit ahead there. That's my fault. There's a nice little spot which I do think they will patch. But if you come to this black block here, just in front of the wheel, and you jump, you can actually see through the plane, and you can see if there's bomb there, you can see if they're defusing the bomb. So there's a bomb site pretty much just there. If you keep jumping, you get free info on the plane, and then you can, run up here and then kill them off the bomb. It's that simple, but that might be patched very, very soon. Finally, we have a last spot in this sort of area, and that is this corner right here. Now you're probably thinking, Harry, what is this covering? Harrz, what are you doing? This corner right here is a nice one. Let's say you've got bombed down in the plane and you're trying to watch every single cross possible to get into the plane. Well, this spot does just that. This spot catches anyone trying to run up the ramp through this little triangle here. This catches anyone trying to run up the back ramp to the back of the plane through that little triangle there. It catches anyone running into the plane from a connector, because you'll see them crossing this little open space here, because that is a gap, like so. And it will also catch anyone trying to drop down out of these windows towards bottom plane or go up these connector stairs. So this is a nice little spot you can have in your back pocket if you're trying to clutch up a situation where you've got bombed down and it's a 1v1. You can sit here and get all the intel, but just beware, if you do this more than once, you're probably going to be an easy read. So yeah, that pretty much covers this sort of area. And then this moves us into sort of P2. Now P2 is a little bit of a weird hill in that there's really not much cover. But I'd actually use that to your advantage. Instead of sitting behind the desk, which is probably, as long as if you trust your teammates, you really shouldn't be touched on this hill. If you've got a good setup, you should be able to sit in here, lay down, put your controller down and get a 60-second time. But let's say you are trying to defend yourself on the hill. Use height to your advantage. Be really obscure. People are going to be aiming low towards where they think you should be. If you hop on this back bit here, you can challenge anyone coming out of, this way here. You can even jump on top of here to watch halls. They're not going to expect this whatsoever, and they're going to be shooting your legs while you're shooting their body, and they're not going to be looking up here. Similarly, you can get on top of all of this if you want to watch a different angle. But yeah, a nice spot I do like to have if I am in charge of watching the hall from the hill is this bit down here. You've got a little bit of a window of line of sight between this black thing here and this door frame. You can shoot through towards hall like so. Moving on to security, which is this area back here. There's a nice little cubby. You can either sit in this corner here and watch the. Let's say you're watching the pinch for burger. You can sit here. You'll see anyone pinching, or you can sit in this little bit here. And basically, people are going to run through this, not going to check this corner, and you're going to get a free kill, an absolute freebie if anyone does run through here. The next thing I want to say, in security, you can actually sit on top of these sofas, and if you just go all the way up to the wall, you can see anyone pushing through P1, you can see anyone pushing through book. It's a really nice, disgusting heady that people aren't going to expect. If you've got beams, you can hopefully get a couple of free kills from here. Moving back into here, this is a nice little lay down spot if you're trying to watch anyone coming through the connector. It's not quite stair glitching, because if it was stair glitching, you'd be even lower. But it's a nice little, somewhat have a header you can use while laying down to beam anyone coming through the connector. Moving on to security itself, obviously you can climb on every single one of these. You used to be able to get onto the plant pots, but they've patched that since, which is why I said the first one probably will be patched. But you can get on top of many other things. You can get on top of this little board thing here. Again, this is a nice place to watch the flanks. So let's say you're trying to hold P1 or burger. This is nice, or even, to be fair, book spawns, because you really do want these spawns for hardpoint. This is a nice place to sit. You can sit, sort of watch anyone pushing through, check in here, and being through the window. You can see anyone book, but you are pretty open to not much of a heady whatsoever, but you can also through to P1. Now, if you're not so fussed about watching this, let's say you're pretty sure that will be covered, you can jump onto this back bit here, security, and beam anyone coming through book. This is a nice little LOS you can have if you're trying to break book, you're trying to find an off angle, and you're trying to anchor spawns at the same time. So yeah, there's some couple of decent spots. It's also worth noting that this thing, I know it may sound obvious, but it's made of glass and you can see through it. So if you're trying to watch across and you're trying to be a little bit cruddy and you're simply trying to get information, you can sit here, see if anyone crosses, and then confidently chow them out like so. If you know they're crossed into P2, you can sit here, reposition yourself, and just get a free kill like that. It works the other way around as well. If you're trying to, pinpoint someone back security, but you're not quite sure where they are, you can try and peek them and get information from through this glass, and then shower them confidently, and then beam them off wherever you feel like you need to. So that's pretty much that. When we get to book, there's a lot to be said about. Well, there's not much to be said about book really. There's not much in there. But when you ever see elevated positioning, such as this vending machine here, and you know you're being chowed, it's always worth, instead of sliding out like so, or just drop it shot around the corner, it's always worth jumping up onto the vending machine and challenge, because they're never going to be looking up here. Imagine someone just, you're going to be praying this way. Imagine they jump up here. You're literally not going to be expecting it. So that's always nice. Or you could literally just wait for them around there. It's going to catch them off guard. Similarly, do a similar thing here. If you're trying to beam someone off that reception heady, info heady, sorry, you can just beam them like that. In book themselves, there's really not much cover, but I would recommend there's one nice little bit you can do, which is stand on here. If people are coming through here, Yes, this is an okay heady, but this is all wallbangable. This is literally paper thin. So I like to stand behind here and peek like this instead. But yeah, bit of a mixy hill. Nothing too much to say there. There is a nice little line of sight. If you somehow manage to slide across here and get on top, which I very rarely think you're going to be able to do, you can lay down and beam people through here. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend doing that. It's probably going to get you killed, to be honest. You can then also, this is a nice little spot here. You can jump up on here. And if you crouch, you've got a nice little heady-ish towards there. But you've also got a little bit of an LOS. If anyone's trying to beam you from that header, you're laying down here. They're seeing some absolutely obscure things from their POV because you're actually technically laying down. But stand up, it's fine. But yeah, this is a nice little spot you can have that people aren't going to be expected you to be at. Similarly, if you're trying to watch the cross, being up here is not a bad idea either, just because people aren't going to expect it. Now, there's a common route if you want to watch the cross into P2, where let's say you're playing S&D and you've got control of this bomb site here, but you want info on anyone crossing. If they get there a little bit early, you can sit here, lay down here behind this toolbox. This is going to obscure their vision, and then you're going to get hopefully a free lick from anyone here. People often slow check the windows as well. So this is an easy way of getting a kill for anyone checking that window, because you're going to have to beam them while they're pretty much stood still. We then have a little bit of a POV into plane. So if you know people are in plane, you can literally beam them through here. A lot of this is backable, so you can get a couple of kills, if not damage, through there. And I would say if you're channeling P2 from this side, instead of channeling like I just did and being really open and like just boldly channeling, get to this heady first. I mean, it's a simple heady for you. If you're trying to channel anyone off the desk or to check any other sort of point I've pointed out, you can do so just like that. Moving on to red, which is going to take me to my next sort of section. I'm missing the whole of that area, but we'll get there. You can actually chow P2 from here. So if you blow out this glass here, you've got a clear vision onto the desk at P2, and you can see anyone crossing P2 here. But this is a nice way to get some initial kills off the guys holding P2, because they're not really going to be looking this far back, and it's going to be a nice LOS just to kill someone off behind that the desk in the hill. From this side, if you're trying to get up onto there, you don't have to go all the way around, up onto there and then up there. You can literally jump onto this little railing like so, and then jump up just like that. Bear in mind, you can get right on top of this, so they might not always be there. They could be up here, which is probably where I'd sit if I was up here, and so you get a nice heady like that. You can also get on any of these bars, even if the window's smashed, you can get on all these. From here, I don't know how helpful this is, but it's a nice off angle if the situation arises in which you can use it. And you can also do the exact same thing over here if you want to watch the bomb, let's say, and you know they're coming from that way. This is a nice little area, although they're probably going to see you when they channel up just over there. Moving on to Burger. So obviously this is P1, and there are contest spots. You can contest the hard point behind this pillar, and behind this pillar. But bear in mind, you can wallbang the bin. You can pretty much wallbang. I think you can wallbang the base of this. So yeah, if you know you're being contested, just try and wallbang for your life. And that's the best thing I could suggest. Moving on to Burger, this is a money hill, but I'm going to give you some tips that will make it even more of a money hill. You're going to get so much more time and play life so far more easy whilst being on the hill. Now, the advice thing to do is when you're in this hill, your teammates are literally all washing over you. Whether you're spawning at Eskys and you're trying to watch the cross, they should just be holding your cross like so. They shouldn't really be able to let anyone get across. Similarly, if you're on the other side and you're trying to kill people on Eskys, you literally just want to make sure they can't cross. So your job on the hill is to stay down and stay alive. But if you find yourself in need of a situation in which you want to clutch and you want to try and get some kills from the hard point because your teammate has fallen, there are some spots you can use. First thing first, there's a nice little... You can use these bits as a heady, but they're a bit messy. You can't really see too much. So I like to use this little slit down the side of the cabinet like so. This is good just for intel, and people aren't always going to spot you here as well. And you can do that exact same thing down here to get a POV towards the tree. You can sort of lay down and watch that, but as soon as you try and turn and shoot, you sort of get moved away. But yeah, this isn't great. These are designed so that you can't get a free heady in here, because otherwise that'd be outrageous. But you can wallbang a lot of this anyway. Now you see these handrails here, handles, that's what they're called. You can actually jump on top of these and get an LOS over the door. This one's a bit limited, but this one's a lot better. From here, you can see anyone pushing through P2. You can see anyone pushed up through the diner here. So yeah, that's a nice little spot. You can get on top of the bin. and use this as a heady. Although there's not really much cover because, as I say, these shelves are quite wallbangable. But this is a nice way to get an LOS. You then can also crouch on top of these boiling hot stoves, and play a little bit of, if you're trying to watch book, you can do it from the hill yourself. But you can make yourself hidden from the left as much as you want, depending on how much you move over. Yeah, that's Burger. You can get on top of all those as long as you crouch. You don't forget you have to crouch to be under this. So yeah, not ideal if you're trying to be a little bit more evasive because you're going to have no movement whilst crouching. So I think that's actually going to be it. There has been a lot of things released about getting on top of things that has already been patched, and bear in mind I'm doing everything with a Renetti because you won't be able to use a knife when rank play does drop because of competitive GAs. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found something useful. If there's a spot I haven't covered in this, feel free to let me know. And yeah, let me know if you want more of this stuff and what map do you want me to cover next. That'll do from me. Ciao for now.